All right, these are some review problems that you should be able to do on your own from yesterday's notes and the day before's. I'm not going to do them for you. I think you should be able to kind of try to practice them, see if you can do them without looking at your notes and how good you are. I'm going to come back to these at the end because I want you to try to practice them. Try to go through them as quickly as you can without looking at your notes. Just see what you know, see what you need to study. All right, so use the definition of log to solve for x. Right, we're going to solve for x. Again, be sure you're very paying close attention to what the directions say. So we can do our little loop-de here. So 4 to the 1.5 equals x. Now, we do not like decimals. Decimals are not our friends. So 1.5, how do I get rid of that decimal? Well, I can write that as 1.5. I don't like mixed numbers. Sure, those are even worse. So I'm going to make that 3/2. That is something I can definitely deal with. There's no exponent variable in the exponent, so this is just a 4 cubed square root. So we can cube 4 and take the square root. We can square 4 and cube it. Either way, it's pretty easy. So the square root of 64 is 8. The square root of 4 is 2. Cubed is 8. So either way, that answer is 8. All right, here we have the natural log of x minus 5 minus the natural log of x equals the natural log of 23. All right, so letter B, there's a few examples on these notes that we need to wait and do till 11.5. So we're going to come back and do this example with 11.5. Some of you can do that. These laws just aren't on this lesson, they're on the next lesson. So we're going to do that one tomorrow with 11.5. All right, these two we can do. So this is just our loop-de, just like that. So 2 cubed equals x squared minus 1. A couple different ways you could do this one. Because there's no x term, there's an x squared term, but no x term, I would just solve it using square roots. So x squared equals 9. Do not forget when you take the square root is plus or minus, so x equals plus or minus 3. But you always have to check to make sure the argument is not negative. Okay, argument has to be greater than 0. Remember back to Unit 8. When we're doing domain, argument must be greater than 0. So it must be positive. Well, if I plug in 3 and I square it, I get 9 minus 1. Negative 3 squared, I get 9 minus 1. So both of those work. All right, here 5 to the 0 equals that argument, which happens to be log base 3 of x. Anything to the 0 power is 1. So this is just a double loop-de, so 3 to the 1 equals x. And we don't write to the 1 power, so we just get x equals 3. All right, these also we're going to do with 11.5. Sorry about that, I put them on the wrong day of notes. All right, then a calculator. Okay, plugging these into the calculator. Now, notice that some have an x and some just say, what are they? Okay, so this would be solve for x, and these would just be evaluate. Okay, so there's a difference. Notice there's no x, so on D and E, don't put x equals because there's no x for it to equal. So log of x equals 3.7. So same thing, we can do the loop-de. Well, there's nothing there, so that's 10 to the 3.7 equals x. Now, if we didn't have a calculator, that's as far as we could go. But since we have a calculator, it says calculator, we would actually do 10 raised to the 3.7, and we get our answer. 5,011, so we get x equals 5,011. What was the rest of that number? 0.872. So there is your x equals. All right, same thing here. Base to the negative 0.3, so that's 10 to the negative 0.3 equals x. If we didn't have a calculator, we stop. Since this is a calculator problem, we keep going. 10 raised to the negative 0.3. Be sure you use a negative sign, not a minus sign. 0.501. X equals 0.501. Natural log of x equals 4.2. So do your loop-de. Remember, natural log has a base of e, so e to the 4.2 equals x. We go to our calculator. The e button right here above the natural log. 4.2, close parentheses, 66.686. All right, so that's solving for x. Now these others are not solving for x. It's just evaluate. So it's just plugging it into your calculator. Log 2, enter. You get your answer, 0.301. And natural log, right below log, 1 plus the square root of 3. Because it's the end, you don't have to close your parentheses, only if you want to. 1.005. Okay, so notice the difference. Some are x equals, some are not x equals. Now, on your homework for tonight, you need to, don't get rid of them because you're going to do them with your 11.5 homework. But on your homework tonight, number 5, okay, so we're going to move number 5, 9, 10, and 11 to 11.5 homework. Okay, so be sure, now if you can do them, terrific, go for it. You can do them. Same laws you learned in Algebra 2. But if you can't, you don't want to, you want to wait, those problems 5, 9, 10, and 11, we're going to do with our 11.5 homework. Because those are important problems, you don't just want to omit them. They're important problems to do because they're probably a little bit different than what you saw in Algebra 2. Now those review problems from the beginning of the notes, if you haven't done them yet, pause this video, go do them before you go to the next and just write them down. Because we don't care how good you can copy, we care how well you can do the problem. So stop the video, go do them, and then here are the answers to those problems from the beginning of the notes.